Hey everybody, welcome. Yeah, we're gonna be talking to the amazing Sharonda Brown today. And y'all see that it says I'm not a speaker to international stages in Dubai and Paris. So I put that there because Sharonda is my client, well, former client. She's not in one of my programs right now, but we're not letting her go. Uh, we are not letting her
Yes.
go. But when Sharonda came to work with me, she was not a speaker. And now you're going to hear about all the amazing things that she's getting ready to do. I always forget my lip gloss.
Mm.
This is a habit. Every video I have, I'm putting on my lip gloss. That's a shame. That is a shame. All right. So I'm really excited. I am really excited to have Sharonda here with me today because I want her to really talk about what this journey has been like. And for those of you who are thinking, well, I'm really smart. I have a lot to say, but I really don't know how to say it. I don't know how to get it out there into the world. Hey, Sean, I don't know how to get it out there into the world so that I can, I started thinking about what I help you all do is like, making money based on what you know, not just what you do. And I think for you, like you're such a perfect example of that, of really leveraging what you know. So, for those of you who don't know me, I'm Kelly Charles Collins. I am the CEO and founder of HR Legally Speaking and also Speaker Moguls. And Sharonda is a client of mine through my Speaker Moguls brand. I am a retired employment law trial attorney, so I practiced law for over 2 decades before transitioning into a full-time entrepreneurship as a professional speaker, corporate trainer, all the things. I'm also an author, and in Speaker Moguls I am the mentor and strategic consultant for brilliant women like Sharonda, who really want to highlight their unique genius. Some of them, what happens is they come in and, like many of us, we know everything, we know so many things, but not really sure how to put it all together. So one of my gifts is to be able to help my clients really clarify their unique genius, and then we enhance that and highlight that through elevating their speaking skills and also solidifying their power, their presence, and their thought leadership, so they can go out into the world and do all manner of things. Some of them want to be keynote speakers, some want to do corporate training or a hybrid of both, consulting. And you'll hear, like for Sharonda, not only does she want to do all those things, but she's also a philanthropist and somebody who is really dedicated to bettering her community. And so she has leveraged all of this to do that too. So I'm really excited that you are here, Sharonda. And before we get into our conversation, I would love for you to introduce yourself to everyone.
Oh, hello, and thank you, Kelly, for having me. I'm so excited to be here to share my journey because it's definitely been a great and an emotional and passionate journey for me. So, again, thank you for allowing me to be here. I like to call myself Sister RN because I'm a sister from an inner city environment that am truly prideful of. My background or my expertise is I'm a nurse by background. I run emergency departments and critical care departments throughout the United States, and I focus on trauma and trauma centers. I focus on communities that look like the communities that I come from because I know that it's complex and it's challenging. So that's kind of who I am and a little bit about my background.
And so you still do, right? You still run emergency rooms and with your business. And she is a philanthropist and she is a community advocate. And so I'm really excited for you all to meet Sharonda. So Sharonda, let's back up for everyone who doesn't know our relationship and how we came together, and talk about how we connected. Like, what was it that brought us together?
Yes. So being a nurse, the very last job I had in the corporate world was traveling as a director of nursing, kind of fixing or working on regulatory operations and those things like that. But my last travel assignment as a nursing director was out in the Oakland area. While out there, I get out and about and I like to meet people. I like to learn the area, learn the people. And I ran into two young ladies that was very intriguing to me, Dee and Venice. Venice is a speaker, an entrepreneur. At that time, she introduced herself. I believe she was working as a professor or doing some things at Berkeley University. And so we continued that relationship. We learned from one another, and I got to find out more about her and what she was doing. I was interested because, I mean, I'm a talker. And then I found out she get paid to talk. All my report cards growing up said I talked extremely too
I
much.
think that's all of us, right? All of us who were speakers is
Right.
like, you talk too much.
Talk right. So to meet her and to see that she lived the same, because I want to keep my lifestyle, but I wanted some type of independence. And I kind of wanted to, since I've been working with a lot of women, had no idea that I wanted to even design my own life. I got that from one of the iconic talks, right? A life designed by you,
For
like
you.
what?
Mhm.
I can design my own life. But anyway, needless to say, I think the biggest message here was once I was exposed to something different and received that knowledge from Venice, then I was able to open my eyes to something different. And so while searching literally on my social media, you popped up. I honestly don't believe it was the first time that I saw you, but I believe it was the first time that I saw you. And
Mhm.
that was only after my mind was open to, oh, okay, here's an opportunity for me. And then you showed up in a way that really got my attention
Oh.
because the way you showed up is a way that I wanted to show up. And I think I've shared with you before and would like to share with your audience is that I've had a hard time through my professional journey trying to find someone like me or even to understand me.
Mhm.
And so that connection, Kelly, is key. That
Yeah.
is key. That's key.
Yeah.
Understanding your audience and definitely you got me with
Oh.
your target marketing.
Oh, thank you. And so we connected because I was at that time, so this was what last year, 20
I,
end of 2023. So going into no,
in
2022.
2022,
End of
October, because I was
2020.
leaving that
Right.
assignment. I was out and I
Timing.
was looking for something new. And so you were my first something new. Okay. Remember? So I want to speak. Okay. Well, she teach people how to speak. What you talking about? And so I showed up in Orlando.
Yep.
Like that was pretty good too because we were coming off the heels of the pandemic,
Mhm.
and so I hadn't had a lot of in-person exposure.
Yeah.
So I think that was key because I was so vulnerable and open.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. And so what we were doing in Orlando at that time was we were doing our signature talk experience. So that's where my sister and I worked together with speakers to really help you craft your signature talk from beginning to end. And it's an entire process. This is like a whole a whole thing that we do. And for you, Sharonda, I almost called you Sister RN. For you,
That's it. That's it though. But you know what? Not to cut you off, I think that's
yeah, that's
important
okay.
because I didn't say that in the last talk that we had that I think is important. Before I met you, I was code switching. Like I know that's a whole topic, right?
Yep.
I was code switching. And so you was asking me, so you gonna be Sharonda or you gonna be Sister RN? And so what I was doing was being Sharonda in my professional environment and Sister RN in the community. Well, that was
Yeah.
code switching. And so then I was concerned. People won't, it's not going to want Sister RN from some of the feedback that I received, right? And I think the biggest message you gave me in that moment, I think that really changed my life was if they don't want Sister RN, then that ain't where Sister RN belongs,
That's right.
right? And since then, I have not tried to get in it. I don't care. I haven't
Yeah.
had to try because as soon as I stepped out as Sister RN, which is who I am in my heart and my passion, right? Um, People came for me. I didn't, I wasn't actually searching.
Yep, absolutely. And so let's talk about the process of just working together and helping you to really hone in. Because as you said, like you're brilliant. I always say this about you. And you know any and everything that happens with emergency room operations. And I remember when you came to Orlando and we were there working with you, like there was just so much stuff, right? Coming out. There was so much stuff coming out, and it seemed, I think, overwhelming. It was overwhelming because you really wanted to talk about so many different things because we know so much. What was that for you? Like, what were you feeling in that moment when you're just like, I got to get everything out, I got to get it out?
I was vomiting, right? Because what I find is that the things that I talk about, remember, I'm talking about emergency rooms, I'm talking about heart attacks, strokes, I'm talking about what time that nurse got to that patient and when they pushed that medication. And then it took me a minute to realize nobody wants to hear that. Like I'm too deep, I'm too into it, and I know entirely too much, right? So it's almost like how the same approach you kind of taught me the same approach like that we do in nursing. Assess the situation, right? Assess the situation and then determine what information you're going to give. But bigger than that, I'm talking about all these different things, regulatory finances and all this different stuff. And so it was the after class assignment when we got together and you had me re-vomit on you. You had me say, do this again and let me write out everything that you're saying. And that was perfect, right? Because if you think about it, hey, just put it all out on a piece of paper. And then what you did was categorized it, and then you told me what I was talking about.
Mhm.
You told me I was talking about, these different things, and then you challenged me to go off and turn it into something. Make it you challenged me to make it, interesting. And so then I came back with the P's because you told me I was talking about processes, I was talking about patience and things of that nature, right? So then I came back with the pivotal P's of crucial importance, where we're talking about the people, the processes, and the paperwork.
Mhm.
If you take care of the people, processes, and the paperwork, then the patient outcomes and the profits will follow.
Right.
And then my talk is just generated around those key elements, which won't take me off topic if I just focus, and then I can apply that. What I found is I can apply that to almost anything.
Yeah.
The bigger piece to that though is I was saying all of this stuff to you, and we learned that I was talking about aligning and designing processes that establish a safe place,
Yeah.
or a safe
Right. A
patient
culture of
moment, right?
safety.
So
Mhm.
that's the culture renovation project. And
Yeah.
so that was like, oh my God, that's what I'm talking about. That is exactly what you're talking about. 500 words later or more, the culture
But I
renovation.
think but to that point, Sharonda, so when you think about somebody like you who, because of your role in operating rooms and as a nurse, right, really being in the weeds and really being in the details of everything and actually the doing of it, I think it was challenging to then see how could I come out of the doing and really come from the knowing, right?
Yes.
And I
Yes.
think that's something that we struggle with as really high achieving women. If we're lawyers or doctors or CPAs or wherever we are in our profession, we're in the corporate world, we're executives, because we're so used to the doing. And as women, we need to do more, and as Black women we need to do even more, right? It's the doing.
Mhm,
Show me,
mhm,
right?
mhm, mhm.
We often forget that the knowing, the knowledge that we have is also so valuable, and sometimes even more valuable than the doing. And so what I realized with you was we had to get you out of the doing, because in the conversations you were still doing, right?
Mhm.
You were still trying to do everything. Like we were talking about,
Mhm.
wait times and all the things that we were talking about. And I had to get you out of that doing and really understand, well, what is the knowledge base that you have that could be a broader conversation, right?
Right.
This is something I'm always looking for with my clients. Like, what is the broader conversation that can be had with the knowledge that you do have, right?
Right.
With the expertise that you do have. And I know for you, in that space when we were together in Orlando, it was challenging, right? Talk about that.
Yes.
Talk about the process of us working through and helping you and your other cohort mates at that time, really helping you to hone in on your true expertise and being able to develop that into something that you could leverage in other ways.
Yes. So the signature talk, the
Mhm.
foundation, what was it was revolutionary for me, right? And that was because the signature talk digs into your why, your purpose. And what I found is inside I know, knew what was driving me or my passion. I didn't know how to articulate it, or maybe I really didn't know. It's crazy that I didn't know. So I have to go back to that. It's crazy that I didn't know why I was moving the way I was moving. I've been running emergency departments for 20 years. And so to dig into my why am I even doing this? It was because of my personal experiences.
Mhm.
My mom is a twin, and her twin sister was in the emergency department where she was waiting and her voice wasn't heard. Her cry wasn't heard. She had chest pain, and as a result, due to delayed care, she experienced a heart attack.
Mhm.
That heart attack led to a code situation where she eventually had to have a pacemaker. Those things could have been prevented by
Mhm.
simply the clinical team understanding, seeing. Nobody's fault, right? Because it could have been processes or anything. But when those things are not in place, bad things happen. But just to put all of that together is it wasn't until the signature talk that I realized I've been running around for the past 20 years trying to fix something that went wrong in my life. And so that purpose, that was eye opening for me. And then it was an aha moment. And so then I found out it was even bigger than that, right? Because that what that was trauma. It was
Mhm.
traumatizing for me. And so what it was, because I never dealt with it, was unresolved trauma. And then what it did was manifested itself into this hardworking process improvement, emergency department, critical care entrepreneur. So it was raw,
Mhm.
and it was something that I wasn't prepared for. I'm glad that it happened. Otherwise, I wouldn't be where I am now,
Mhm.
because in that purpose and my why, I know what I'm doing, and that clarity is now there.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And I think that's the biggest thing, we're always talking about confidence. Oh, I don't have the confidence to go out and do that. It's not the confidence. It's the
Yes.
clarity, because clarity precedes confidence. And the
Yes.
moment that you got very clear. So like you said, we were in the signature talk experience. We did develop, part of your talk during that process, but then I realized that there was still something like it just wasn't coming all the way together. And so we had that conversation. And when you started speaking to me and I could hear I'm always listening to you all, and like I listen and reframe, and I could hear what was there. And, to your point about the story that you just told about your mom and her twin sister, oftentimes what happens is we get so mired in the story, and this is what we could see from you, like you were so mired in the stories of what happened that you weren't able to see the bigger picture and then how the story fits into the picture,
Yes.
right? And
Right.
so, really helping you um to understand, yes, story is important, much bigger picture though, right? Much bigger impact that you can make and leverage your story,
Hmm.
right? to
Yes.
really illuminate and clarify and highlight and illustrate the lessons that you need to share. And so we developed together your new talk, which is the culture renovation project. And before we go on, though, I want to ask you this question because I know there might be
Okay.
some people who are thinking, right? So you're a nurse by profession, and many people, there's probably people who are like, I'm a nurse, I'm a this, I'm a that. I could never be a speaker. Like, what is it that I have? And so when you think about it in terms of really honing in, what would you say to people who say to women who are thinking, no, I'm just a nurse, I'm just a this, nobody's going to want to listen to me? What would you say about that?
Well, just a nurse is not it. So
Right.
you so I think we're one of the number one admired professions in our country.
And
So
essential. And we know
and
now that
essential,
y'all are
most
very
definitely.
essential.
The next thing is, I know a lot of people have stage fright and have a hard time. There are some statistics out there. I think people are really afraid to speak. What
Mhm.
is that, like 95% of the
Yeah.
population
They fear
is
it more
afraid
than
to
death.
speak? So I'm talking to every registered nurse out there. You speak and you speak every day. You speak in different languages to different people at different educational levels, 12 hours a day for the most part, right? You're doing that with patients. You're doing that with other registered nurses that's working in your environment, registered nurses, especially in the emergency department, that's outside of your environment. You're changing it for every audience that you step in front of. You are a speaker. Now it's time for you to get paid to speak. I strongly recommend that you reach out to Kelly so that you can find your signature talk, your passion, and your why, so you can go out there and be a highly paid speaker mogul. Yeah,
You're so funny. You're so
girl,
funny.
it's good. No, seriously, I meant all that though. I meant that 100%. Nurses, that was a good question. They speak every day, Kelly.
Yeah.
The
And
thing
it's
is,
not
what
only
is what
just
are
the
we
nurses.
speaking about?
Yeah,
Huh?
and it's not just nurses, right? There's so many women. It's one of the reasons that I've started the new service line in the business called Executive Speak, because inside of our corporations, right? Not everybody wants to be a professional speaker, right? Not everybody
Right.
wants to be out there on the world stages. However, inside of our organizations, we are speaking every single day, right? We
Yes.
are communicating with people every single day, and to
Yes.
effectively lead and to be successful as women, we have really got to amplify our voices. I know people always say, oh, women need to find their voice. We don't need to find anything. We have it. We never lost it,
Yes.
right? It's
Right.
been suppressed, right? Our voices have been silenced. However, public speaking and the ability to learn it's not easy, right? I hated it when I first started. I was just like terrified to be a speaker. But what I realized is that the ability to communicate, and like you were just saying, as nurses and many of us who are in different fields, like the legal field, etc., we're communicating to people, different type, diverse people, right? All the
Mm-hmm.
time,
Mm-hmm.
and having to communicate at different levels. And those are the things that will help you to really excel. Whether you're going to stay in the corporate space or you want to, be a professional speaker, like Sharonda has evolved into this amazing professional speaker. So I want to talk to you about that, Sharonda, because we went through the Signature Talk experience with you. That happened in January of 2023. And since that time, it has been like gangbusters for you in
Yes.
terms of your development. Again, I say I'm not a speaker to international stages in Dubai and in Paris. So um, talk about what has happened for you out of really working with me and being able to develop your culture renovation project. Like what's happening for Sharonda now?
Well, it's opened up tons of opportunity and it's made things a lot easier for me. Back to that clarification. What I'm
Mhm.
doing is I'm not all over the place. I am focused on that cultural renovation project and pulling P's, those pivotal P's, pulling something out of those P's or those pivotal P's in whatever it is that I'm doing. An example of that, that cultural renovation project though, that made it easier for me. I haven't changed anything since I've written the Cultural Renovation Project and I've submitted it for abstracts. It has been accepted Everywhere I've submitted it to, I haven't received any declinations, no declines, and I don't anticipate any. Right? It's the same message though. Like, and you just change it up just a little bit, depending on your audience and the audience needs. I've taken that same culture renovation project and turned it into a proposal for something that I wanted to do in my community. Right? I have a nonprofit organization called Sister Arian and Friends, and I do things out in the community. And so I focused on the people there
Mhm.
in my cultural renovation project and focused on growing the people. I also do this thing where I say not only do you have to focus on those pivotal P's, but you have to apply that factor, and with that comes my essential R's. Of those essential R's, though, recognizing my kids, recognizing is one of those R's, was key, right? Rewarding them is one of my R's. And so in that, we had a city cipher, a 423 cipher, and we just had a whole award ceremony, letting them know exactly what you said to me, which we haven't talked about because I bring tears. Is That's what you said to me, was you see me,
Mhm.
right? And in that moment, I didn't realize I needed to be seen. But when I went to work with those kids, I could see
Mm.
they were it was me, right? A reflection of me. And so I wanted to make sure that I applied that through reward and recognition via, the cipher, and make sure that they know I can see them. So taking that cultural renovation project, it's just allowed me to just focus, and then just do multiple things. I just told you I was doing the music cipher. I'm still consulting on emergency departments, but I'm just still following those key elements, right? And so it just makes things a lot easier for you.
Yeah, I love that because, and we are going to talk about Dubai and Paris, but I love that because I think sometimes people think, oh, I have a signature talk and it's just a talk that you could just do on stage, but it's not. The way that we build it in such a way that you could take all of what you do and we help you to create your frameworks, right? Your methodologies, your system, whatever you want to call it, your process, and then you can take that and leverage it in so many different ways. And for you, like you said, I just look at what are these P's, and then what's my factor, and how can I take those things and then leverage it, so I don't have to create anything new. I don't have to have, this over here for this thing and this over here for this thing. No, I have this whole idea that I have created to make an impact in the world, right? To really, this is legacy building for you,
Right.
definitely. And how can I, and all of the things that I want to do for the different people or the different sectors of my life, how can I take that thing and leverage it? And I think that's so important for people to understand that when we're working with you, it's not just about developing a talk because you just want to be on stage, but what is it that you want to do in your life? And this is why we go so deep into your why, right? Because then it's like, how do we figure out what is the thing that's really moving you and driving you and gets you up in the morning, so that you can take that and not just be like, well, I'm just talking to these people on the stage, and do and do what you want with it. And so let's talk about Dubai and Paris. Like, how did
Okay.
that come
Yes, yes,
about?
yes, yes.
Talk to
So
the people, because people always want to know, well, how do you get on those stages? So talk to the people.
okay, so I did take
Hmm.
your momentum course, and with that, I think we had 90 days
Hmm.
to kind of get stuff done, which influenced my boss up boot camp right now, because I mean it's the same concept. It helps
Yep.
you get stuff done. That worked for me, and I needed to get back into that, so I just kind of created that for myself. So that momentum was key, because we all got to work together. We got to see each other. We even got to hear your feedback. Although you were talking to others, I could use everything that you said and apply to myself. So it was like it was more than a momentum. It was educational,
Hmm.
and then we were challenged to show up for ourselves. We had a social media challenge, which was wonderful. The social media challenge, even though I didn't want to do it, I saw other people doing it. Momentum matters, right? You see somebody else doing it in your group. I'm very competitive, so it kept me on top of my game. I truly appreciate Kelly for that. As a result, I was seen.
Mm-hmm.
I was seen by a nursing conference. That conference I did apply for, but that was a part of the program as well, right? Kelly had to tell us how to separate ourselves. I think the main thing about the momentum, if I hope I'm not telling all the secrets, is
That's
that I had to separate though the talent from the business, from the CEO, right? And so once I learned that, that kind of helped me and changed the game for me as well. I know I just kind of went
that's
off
okay.
and I thought about the CEO. What was I answering for you, Kelly?
So how did you get on? How are you getting to go to Dubai and Paris?
So handling my business, and
Mhm.
actually I applied, submitted my abstract to my first nursing conference, and they looked me up. When they looked me up, they saw my social media page, and because of the personality on the page, they asked me to be the MC. And so then that MC opportunity, I think is phenomenal. I think people underestimate the role of an MC.
Mhm.
So I was open to that. And the reason I liked being an MC is because I got to build a relationship with
Yeah.
every speaker and I got to watch their style. I had spent time with you. So now I even know how to critique. I know how to watch. I know what to look for. When is she going to go into the storytelling? When is she going to take it to the bridge? When is she going to hit that first point? That second part, that third part, talking part. But
Right.
anyway, looking at stuff like that. So that opened up an opportunity for me to MC. I got to do my oral presentation there. And then that was a world stage. Although I was in my own country, we were in Boston, it was a world stage. So I got
Yep.
to meet people from everywhere. And from there, I just started receiving invitations.
Yeah. So you're going to Dubai when?
July, Dubai in July, and Paris in September.
Woohoo! I'm so excited.
Yes,
And I
yes,
know
yes,
something
yes.
exciting just happened. I'm not going to say, but I know it was a big deal.
No,
What?
so my hometown, that's the one you're talking
Yeah.
about?
Can
Because
you
if that's what
talk
you're
about
talking
it?
about, I can talk about it. I
Okay,
can
you can
talk
talk about it.
about it
Okay.
because they said I can talk about it now.
Okay.
So yes, so taking that same concept, right, applying it to my community, which I'm very, very excited about. So I told you guys we did our music cipher, and that music cipher allowed the kids to battle, express themselves, and communicate anything that they were kind of going through or what was impacting our community. We listened to those essay battles. Oh my God. But needless to say, we met with the parents of the cipher. It was we had a hard time getting in
Mhm.
touch with them. And it wasn't because they wasn't invested. It was because they were busy working, trying to make means for their own kids or whatever it may be. So what I did was, okay, back to the people. We talking about the parents now, right? We were talking about the kids, but now we're talking about the parents. The parents need us, right? And then so how can we help them? So what did we do? I'm always talking about cultural renovation project. That's all about creating safe spaces. So I was creating safe spaces for those kids. So now it's my goal to create safe spaces for these parents. And so I went to the city council, the city of Chattanooga, the mayor, Mayor Tim Kelly. Shout out to that whole team for approving the proposal. But as a result, we wanted to do an online coaching program for those parents. And so that's been approved, and we're getting ready to go on that in the next couple of weeks. So I'm very excited. And so that will be free for all the women of Chattanooga. That's how you leverage that signature talk. Uh, that's how you do it. I'm
I'm
excited.
so excited. I'm so proud of you because I just really want people to understand the power of like honing into your unique genius and,
Yeah.
pulling it together and then pulling it apart because that's what you did, right? So we helped you to pull it all together into one cohesive thing. And then now, because you know it so well, and it's not something that we created for you, we helped you create it. It came from you, so now you could just be like, oh, let me pull these pieces out, right? So now you can deconstruct what we constructed to be able to do the things that you want to do.
Right. And don't underestimate back to being in the room.
Yeah.
Being in the
You
room with the
always say that.
powerful women. No, that is so I am so serious about being in the room. Look
Yeah.
what I've learned from just being in the room, just as the MC. You know how many times I heard those presentations and how that
Mhm.
stuff resonate with me and planted in my subconscious. What they were talking about was real. And
Yeah.
so that stuff, psychological safety.
Mhm.
Come on, baby. Hey, D, I grew on that one. psychological safety, because I'm a safety expert, right? And so that's key. And so we don't think about that
Mhm.
sometimes. And so what she did was added on to my talk. What she did is added on to my testimony,
Yeah.
because it never dawned on me that I was also creating that psychological safety. And that's what I love about the music cipher. That's what stands out to me the most about the music cipher, is because we have the opportunity to get in these safe spaces with these kids, and that's where we have conversations,
Yeah.
those real conversations.
Yeah.
And that's where healing begins, and getting, the mentorship and stuff that they need.
I
Yes, this
love it.
is
I love it. So let me, before we continue, so you all see scrolling at the bottom is my Speaker Pathways to Profit workshop. I should have mentioned this earlier, but here we are 35 minutes in. You can go register at positionpitchprofit.com. It is 5 days of me training you on all the frameworks on our P6 framework, which is how you really position and package and all the things, prospect pitching, presentation skills, how you really put your expertise together so that you can have the types of successes that Sharonda has. Everybody will have their own unique successes, right? But really showing you how you can take what is in your brain, what you know, and to leverage that instead of always really focused on and relying on what we do. And this came about for me when I was practicing law and I watched medical experts. So when we were in trial and we would have these medical experts, and I was sitting in a deposition one time, and we were talking about how much money he had made from being an expert, and it was millions, right? And the office that we were in was just the most fabulous office. And what struck me about that was that he had figured out how to leverage what he knew to make all this money instead of what he did, right? So he's a medical doctor, right? But he wasn't, what we were talking to him about, what he had done was reviewed medical records. He had never seen the patient. He had never talked to the patient, nothing. What he was taking what he knew, leveraging that to be an expert witness and getting paid millions of dollars for it, right? And so for me, when I was sitting there, I was like, I'm doing the wrong thing. I'm sitting up here doing, girl. I was like, I'm sitting up here doing every day when it's like I got all this stuff in my brain. Like, how do I
yes,
leverage what I know? And so this is really, as I've been doing this over these past several years and working with all of you and really trying to understand what is it that I really help you, to do. And it really is, that's part of it, right? Ensuring that you understand how to leverage what you know, not just what you do, and
right,
understand that there's value in the knowledge, right? There's value in the knowing, not just the doing. And I think that's so really, really important. And that you have done such an amazing job of really honing into that, right? And you're still doing what you do, but you're also like, no, I know these things and this is out. I'm taking it, I'm drafting proposals, I'm getting funding, I'm doing all the things, right?
yes.
To really make people's lives better. And in turn, really making your life better. So before we wrap up here, Sharonda, what is it, if you could say to people, what is the value? Because people always want to know, oh, what's the ROI and what am I going to get and what is it like? If you could explain to people what the value is of working with me and how that has impacted your life, what would you say to them?
I would say invest at the level that you want to be at. I would say invest at the level of your dreams. So, what does that mean, Sharonda? One example would be I landed a contract with my hometown to deliver a nurse training program on cultural diversity. As a child growing up, I knew that the people that were taking care of me in the nursing field had no idea who I was, my background, or how to even approach me. So
Mhm.
to take care of me was a huge barrier between me and that clinician. Taking this leap, understanding my purpose, walking in my purpose, understanding how to apply that in my professional life, has afforded me the opportunity to stand in what I believe in and guide my own community. That's priceless.
Yeah. Yeah. And then talking just more specifically, if we like more specifically, if you talk about, because that is priceless, right? And I think, and I love that you said that as the response, because oftentimes what we're looking for is like the monetary,
Yeah.
right? We're looking at the
Yeah.
monetary thing, and that will come, right? That is a byproduct, but those things that you just said, like the clarity, the focus, the ability to change other people's lives, like that to me is why I do what I do, right? That to me is to see someone like you who came in with like just a whirlwind of things, and to look at you now at how focused you are, how laser focused you are, how directed you, it is like for me that is everything. And so talk to people about that, Sharonda, around not just looking at like, oh, I invested this much and so I need to get back this much in terms of the numbers, but talk about some of the other things that, like, what people would think of as intangibles that you've gotten from working, with me in Speaker Moguls, my sister in Speaker Moguls. Like, talk about those types of things too.
So if we talk, I think anybody's losing, truly, if it's all about the money. You honestly have to put the money into yourself,
Hmm.
right? This is about me. This is about Sharonda. This is about Sister RN. This is not about an educational system where I'm being taught to do something else. This is about an educational system where you're being taught to do what you want to do. So it's investing into your dreams. As far as money, and turn around on that, I obviously, when I submit my proposals, money is in that, right? I definitely am. So we have to talk about this. Maybe I don't want to tell y'all all this, but you have to know your worth as well. It took me a minute because I came out of the corporate world, and so my very first contract I disclosed to Kelly, and I didn't put the right amount of money on it. I was still moving like an employee, and what I
Yeah.
realized, I gave these people like a 75% discount based on what I'm worth, right? But either way, I've gotten that money back. I've gotten my money back, right? Because my proposals went through, and with those proposals come money. I've been paid for my expertise. The money's there. I've positioned myself to be paid as an entrepreneur. And so I've definitely gotten my money back. Like I can't even I've gotten my money back.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Proposals
Yeah.
equate to money. Yes. Yes,
So
yes,
how
yes.
does Sharonda feel about Sharonda now?
I didn't know my worth. I want you guys to know that I had no idea.
Your value. Don't
I
attach it
didn't
to
know
your
my
worth, your
value.
value.
Right, my worth. Thank you. I didn't know my value,
Yeah.
and so that was huge. And so demanding my value is key, and that's where I'm going. And to just and the stage, I'm going where I'm appreciated. I'm going where the message need to be heard, but I'm
Mhm.
appreciated and
Yeah.
valued.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Well, I'm so proud of you. I am so proud of you. Um, and
Thank you.
as I was saying, we're having our Speaker Pathways to Profit workshop. That is one of the gateways into how you can work with me longer term. If you want to if you've heard Sharonda and you're like, I want some of what Sharonda got, then just drop TLC in the comments and I will reach out to you directly, and we'll talk about whether our 12-month program is a good fit for you or some other way to work together is a good fit. For those of you who are like, yeah, I still want to see a little bit more, starting next week, I'll be doing 5 days of live training, an hour to hour and a half each day. All you have to do is go to positionpitchprofit.com. It's free. But you need to register so that you can get the link so you can join me on Zoom. I think I will stream it on LinkedIn, but we'll see how that goes. But anyway, go to positionpitchprofit.com to register so that you can be in the room. She told you, right? You got to be in the room. Nothing happens on the outside. Like, nothing happens when you're on the outside trying to look in. You're going to miss something. And so it's really important for you to be in the room. And this is one of the ways that, for those of you who have not experienced me before, who don't really, you still want to know more about me, easy. You get 5 hours at least of training next week for free. So
Oh,
Monday, Wednesday, Friday is 12 p.m. Eastern, and Tuesday and Thursday, 2:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So all you have to do again, go to positionpitchprofit.com. And before we go, Sharonda, anything that you want to tell the people before we go? Tell them what's coming up next for you, where they can find you and how they can connect with you, all the people who need to be hiring you. So
hello.
talk to the people.
Yes. You can find me. You can book me at booksisterrn.com. You can also find me at sisterrn.org. And then if you want to sign up for my music cipher, 423cipher.com. That's
And you have a
exciting.
boot camp coming up too.
Yes, well, the boot camp is going on right now.
Oh,
And
okay.
so that is in action. So yes, you can join the boot camp group on Facebook, on the Facebook page, so that you can get my live updates and that type of stuff.
What's the name of it?
Boss Up Boot Camp.
Okay. Awesome.
Boss Up
Awesome.
Boot Camp.
Well,
Yay.
Sharonda, I know you're busy, and I just always love chatting with you. It's so amazing to have you as the MC for Iconic Talks and to be able to
Yes.
do your fireside chat with you. I'm proud of you. I am proud of you. Every time I get a text, I'm like,
Oh,
because there's something else happening and going on. But if you want to, really be like Sharonda in terms of using what you know, really leveraging what you know to make a life and a legacy, then I would love to have a conversation with you. We can drop TLC in the chat and we can, connect there, or come join me for Speaker Pathways to Profit workshop. Just go to positionpitchprofit.com and I will see you there. Thank you all for joining us. Sharonda, thank you for being here with me today. I love you. I love you. I love you. I'm so
love you
proud of you.
too.
Keep
Love you
going.
too.
You got this. And I can't wait to see what's next. And I can't wait to see pictures from Dubai and Paris.
Yes.
All
Thank
right,
you,
everybody.
Kelly.
I will talk to you soon. Until next time, take care.